Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Art Side of Life, where it's all about how you can turn your creative passion into a profession. My name is Eva, and my guest today is an amazing digital and traditional artist from Hamburg, Germany. She studied at the Hamburg Technical Art School Academy of Design, and for past 10 years she has worked as an art director and character designer in Daedalic Entertainment Gaming Studio, latest working on the title Pillars of the Earth. She published her tutorial on designing a character based on a real person in the magazine Character Design Quarterly. She is inspiring and entertaining her Instagram community of over 300,000 followers with her fun illustrated stories from her daily life as a parent. She is looking forward to self-publish her sketchbook in the fall 2017, hoping her fans will like it. I am sure of it and I can't wait to get it. So please welcome Simone Grünewald, and also known as Schmoesi, and let's get to the interview. Hello and welcome everyone to the next episode of Art Side of Life, and please welcome my guest Simone.
Hi everyone!
I'm super happy that you are here and you took a time to join us. And I would like to start with your background. Like, when did you first realize that you would like to do art or something with design?
Well, I think it's the story of every artist. I mean, as a kid, I always drew, and I always loved drawing, and I drew so much, and I sort of thought, oh, I doubt that you can have a job in drawing. But I sort of then I started to realize that there is that I would just sort of go ahead and just draw and see what comes from it, because then I sort of met people who said, oh yeah, you can do graphic design or go to an art school, and I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So because I was always drawing, and I think where it really started for me to intensify most was the internet. Mm-hmm. Because there was a German online platform called Animex, mm-hmm. and I started posting a daily picture nearly, and I was getting comments, and people were liking what I was doing, and I was like, I like doing this. I'm sorry that it's sort of so. Yeah, I like the feedback, and before I was just drawing for myself manga, and I never thought I could do anything like that. But yeah, and then sort of I said, well, I'll go for this. I wasn't good at anything else. That's the short and finish of it. I'm really just good at art.
So you're like, okay, I will go for this because this is what I'm best at. Yeah.
Yes. And because I love doing it, I was just like, I didn't care where I was going in art. I just wanted to do something with art. And then for me, the logical way was to study it and then see what happens. So yeah, that's what I did.
And so which were kind of the biggest decisions you had to do in order to follow your passion?
Yes, that was exactly, because I went to what's the word in English? An internship I was doing at an art school, mm-hmm. and at this art school I stayed after the internship, and had really a lot of fun there. It was just like old ladies painting after their work, so it was that kind of art school, and I was there as well painting vases and everything. And there was a couple of kids who came there and said, oh, I want to prepare for art studies. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, where are you going? And they said the art school from Hamburg, and then said, that's what I want to do. And I had already started preparing, and I met a guy who said, come to my school. And I said, what's your school? It's the HTK, which is the Hamburg Technical Art School. No big school, or anything. And I said, okay. And I think that was like the biggest decision, because he sort of said, come to my school. And I took my portfolio with me. And the same day, I just went with him. And they said, oh, your portfolio is great. Come to our school. And I was like, there was 2 months till to the other art school. Mm-hmm. And I think I was really scared of that art school, because it was like exams and everything which there was. And I heard from a girl whose art I thought she was fantastic, and they just said, no, that's not art. And when I was at this art school, they were saying, manga, we don't need this stuff. And I was already feeling that was the way I had to go, but it was too artsy fartsy in a way. And then I sort of it was a snap decision when I said, oh, I'll go to that other school. And it was a graphic design school for like also, and I think I learned so much more there than I would have at art school. Because, I mean, it's great, but it's not very practical.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I'm really happy that I just took that way, because at my school there was 2 comic tutors who had published comics, and I had in each period I had comic what's the word? The word for, yes, I just could draw comics at my school, and they were both great. I was like, this at this point it opened up for me how much there is to learn, as like perspective. That's where it all started. Before I was drawing for myself, and that's where I started getting the basics. And I was also painting. I was really happy, and since the director of the school liked artists, even though it was a graphic design school, I could just sort of jump through the courses which were most art related as I wished, and I was so happy because I could just do what I wanted, and then that was great.
That's perfect. So you can actually choose which courses to combine, and
well, I think I had a kind of status. Because I asked whether it was possible if I could do more live drawings, and they said, okay, go to the first semester, you can just join them, even though I wouldn't have had it anymore. But I sort of just took all the art courses I could at that school, because he said, okay, that's what she's good at, go for it. So
that's perfect that you can actually choose, and you knew already what you wanted to do.
Exactly. So that was I really enjoyed that.
And maybe what was the best advice you ever received?
I think it was one of these comic teachers. I was thinking about this because it's a hard question, because you get a lot of advice. But what stuck with me was I was drawing a comic panel, and I was drawing a shoe, very detailed, and he said, "Okay, you've drawn this shoe perfect. That's not what it's about. It's you don't have to draw an object perfect, because with a lot of work you can do any object perfect. And he said, when I've drawn an object once, it's okay. I know I don't have to draw it again as perfect as that."
Yeah.
And sort of that pushed me to the important things to stick to, sort of not to get lost in details too much. I mean, details are great, but details just take a little bit of work for me. And and from that point I started to get more loose, and I think that really helped a lot, sort of to just focus on composition and everything, and not on this perfect shoe.
That you should have it in a logo, the shoe.
The shoe.
And
it was a shoe of Hermione, because I was doing a fan comic of Harry Potter at the time.
But it's good to remember, so that it's like that's something what happened there. And was there like maybe the bad advice or something you changed opinion about?
Yes, but that was far earlier, because in art, in school, when you just not in like 7th grade or something, we had this art teacher, and he was saying, "You are drawing so precise," and I mean, he wanted me to like paint more. So he's like, "You won't get a job with this. You'll have to," because he was a real artist. And he wanted me to like splatter things, or I don't know what he wanted me to do, but he was like, "You'll never get a job in art doing it like the way you do." And I was like, "I'll show you." And I think that was what I remember like as the worst. I mean, it's weird, because it's a similar topic which the other teacher told me, but it was him telling me I will never make it in art because he wanted to be free, and I was like, I'll show you, I will make it in art. No, I kind of did. And I didn't change anything at that point. I mean, I just carried on. Yeah.
So how did you maybe kind of find your group of the kind of same thinking people, like or was it different maybe in Germany than the other places? I mean, I don't know, because I also grew up in Europe, but but the social networks were not as big at the time maybe, and like how was it like with your networking, or how did you kind of develop the art there?
I remember that it was great learning that there's people like me out there who like art. I remember that so clearly, how at home I felt. Animex, that's the forum in Germany, and it was anime and manga fans, and this one boy which brought me to the school said, before he brought me there, he said, "Don't you like us?" And I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "Yes, we meet in Hamburg. We are the Animex group who meets in Hamburg." And I said, "Oh, okay, I'll come." And he later brought me to the school. But also it was this whole group interested in art. And but at art school, then when I was in studies, then there was different people as well who were interested in art. And from there on, I just always drew all the artists around me and tried to talk about art, just enjoy it and everything. So, yeah.
And maybe, yeah, sorry.
And yes, and in particular, while I was studying, I also there was a notice on the notice board, a guy who was opening a comic studio in Hamburg, and I said, "Oh, I'll do that too." And then I went there, and I was like, at night or at weekends, I was hanging around there and drawing with other people who was also only drawing. So I had those people as well. So from then on, also I think that's such a great force to have people around you who love art, because I think that's where it all started to get finer, and not only just for yourself into your little sketchbook, which was basically mostly had checkered paper. I mean, when you stop drawing on checkered paper, I mean, it's also really important not drawing into your school notebook. So yeah, get a sketchbook.
It's actually like free of lines. Yeah.
Yes, but at the beginning you don't care. You just draw anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Do you have a favorite tools you maybe use now, like a favorite pencils or?
Yeah, as an artist, I think you're always looking for the perfect tools, and it's a constant search that never ends. But there's a couple of tools I really like. I like the sketchbooks from Canson. Mm-hmm. I think that they've got really good paper, and that's my favorite paper at the moment, but it always changes. But I always try other ones, and then I revert to that sketchbook because I just always like the paper from them. And and the pencil, I also went to animation school, and there I got these polychromos. Wait, polychromos are cool too, but Colorays pencils. These are these colorful pencils which you basically use to go over on top of them with the pencil, so you can key them out in a different color. But I really like how they work on the paper, and I usually just do have colorful pencil drawings, and those are pencils which you can erase. So I love them.
Yeah, so I thought that you are using
those are my tools. Yes.
Yeah.
And all the colors of the rainbow, but I always go back to scarlet, red, and blue.
Yeah.
And Tuscan red.
Yeah, what is it, like the indigo blue or something like that, right? You have the dark and light blue.
Yes, but I don't know. I think it's just blue now. The name, I think that you get also a dark. There's a really dark blue as well, but it's the middle blue. I think there's 3 blues. I'm not sure, but I'm using the middle blue.
Cool. Yep. And so when you are creating your art, is there like like a vision or branding you're trying to put in your creations, or is it more the story?
I think I try to go for story, because I think that I'm not. I mean, I guess I have a style of sorts, which is mine, but I like to play around with mediums, with different styles as well. And since I think that it's in the business, it's important to be diverse, and of course, it's important to be good at. I mean, I'm more into figure drawing than probably other people, and especially little ladies. But yeah, I like to. I usually often do either I go for story, or I just sort of do pretty girl to play around with the medium, try to try out watercolor or something which I saw somewhere else, and I like to take things from other and incorporate it in mine. And I was like sort of compartmentalizing it and saying, I can use this for this, and yeah, sort of just sort of getting a bigger visual library as well. So that's, yeah, I think that's that. And storytelling, since I've begun to go more, also I was sort of told myself, try to tell a story with every picture you do. It doesn't matter how small, but just try to tell a small story. I mean, it can be the clothes. It can be just like, if the clothes are wet, you know, okay, she's been bedraggled in the rain and something like that. So the small stories which I try to, it's not that just like, it's a pose or whatever, sort of try to tell a story. I think that's what I would like to transport most.
So, and how do you create your stories? Like, because you have so many great stories, do you go around and make you like notes, like, oh, I love this moment, I want to draw this, or you just think back to the day or something?
It's weird. It's always different. Sometimes it comes to me like, okay, you have to keep this moment. Remember to draw this. Sometimes I have that, and sometimes I just sort of sit back, breathe, go through the day and try to remember what was cool, what was nice, or what wasn't nice. I mean, there's so much. Basically, every day you've something small you can remember, which is sort of special, and it doesn't work always. Sometimes you just nothing comes, but usually that's what I do. And I think it always depends on how fresh you are in your head, and if you aren't sort of completely like, I just want to sit on the sofa. But because I mean, as a mum at the moment, I do have those days more than I like.
But when you have like such a small baby, right? Maybe not a baby anymore, but you know, it's do you have inspiration from daily life which you transfer also to fantasy life, maybe?
Yes. I think it started because I draw my son a lot as well, and because he inspires me. He's sort of my center at the moment, and already when he was in my stomach and unborn, he sort of looked on one of his pictures like a little dinosaur. It was on the sonogram, which he said, I think we're going to get a dinosaur, not a real child. And from then on, I sort of liked to put on these little spikes on his head, and from there you sort of go playing. It's just sort of playing. It just happens often. Just sort of having this. I have him as the little dinosaur and as a little fox, and from there on, I just sort of imagine situations what he could be in. Sort of, yeah. And I like drawing woods as well. I'm always sort of trying to incorporate backgrounds, and then I like woody backgrounds. So I sort of just put him with his fox friend, just having some adventure, and I like doing that. And yeah. Or what's also since we really don't get much holidays, and I'm not very good at holidays, and we just sort of went to Italy on a honeymoon, and sort of 2 days in to because we're going through Airbnbs, and I was just like having to just sort of look for houses, and I was like, this isn't fun, and I don't like the mosquitoes, and I want to go home. And we went to my parents-in-law, and they had a house for us, and we was like, okay, we're staying here.
So you can spend time drawing and just enjoying yourself.
Right.
So.
That was the point I was trying to make. Drawing different, as I go sometimes on Google Earth and just click through pretty places, and then I draw them, and then I sort of say, okay, why not put us in the scenery, sort of say, hey, we had a free holiday,
Oh, that's
Thank
super
you,
cool.
thank you, Google Earth.
So it's like imagine yourself in different places and different scenarios. Yeah, I think that's
It's
perfect.
kind of sad as well,
No, but it's super
it
cool.
helps.
Because I can imagine it as a movie already, like if you would create this kind of, storytelling and it can be,
Yes, it could be. It would be so cool to jump into this.
yes,
Just like
from one side
no,
to another. Yeah, yeah.
now I like to want to draw that. See, that's how it also happens. You sort of talk about situations, say, I want to draw that. I'll try to imagine how you could. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I won't. I
Oh,
don't know.
good.
Sometimes you just say.
So let's see. And like with so many things you have to do now, also with the family life and the art. So how do you design your day, or how do you schedule, your work time, family time?
um, I at the moment I have the luxury that he sleeps during the day for like 3 times, maybe an hour or so. So I try to do the first hour where I do housework, and the second time where he sleeps, and hopefully he sleeps like 2 hours or so. Then I have this for myself, and I try to use that for drawing. Um, but yeah, it's this. I really would like. It depends on how good I'm mentally at the moment. If I'm not good, and I just sort of practice, then I practice drawing hands or whatever, because it depends on how good you're just feeling in form, whether if I can do something or not. And if not, I usually practice because I really, 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 really think it's important to draw every day.
Yeah. Okay, so you draw every day, so that's a really good, tip, because some people don't do it every day, and then just for practice, even if you are maybe artistic block, just practice.
Yes, and that's also something I sometimes I get artist block like everybody does, and since I know myself and my artist blocks, I just push through it by practicing. I draw hands. I say there's these challenges like on the internet where you say draw 100 hands, draw 100 something, draw 100 feet. I did feet. I did hands. Some people draw 100 motorcycles. I mean, and you sort of pick something you're not good at and try to improve, and that helps me really to go through it, because at some point it always gets better. It always comes back, and I know I can rely on that. So that's why, and then I've been practicing in the meantime. So basically, when it comes back, I'm better than before.
Yeah, but also when you already have the story in mind, then you know how to visualize it, because you practice on other pieces.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so, and now when you work on a different drawings, and can you share what is your main income, and how do you combine your income streams?
Well, I've been working at the same game company for I don't know how long, 8 years, 10 years, I think nearly 10 years, because I'm not good with numbers and I don't remember when it started. But I've been working at the same game company since very long time, and it's called Delic Entertainment. They do like Monkey Island, so adventures, right? And I've been designing stuff for them. So yeah, I do different projects as well, sometimes on the side, but I don't have this this pressure to have different things. I've got an 8-hour job every day, and I sort of just have fun working there. And I do art direction in a lot of projects, or character design, and yeah, I've done so many games with them, and I really like it because I haven't felt the need to change it, because since it's like sort of every year a new project, so mostly sort of it's always a new. We do something new. We try. We have been having a lot of things which I could learn from there, so I never felt the need to change, because it was good company, and yeah, I was happy there, and I am, and of course I'm not there at the moment, but like in October I'm probably going back, And but I do projects on the side. Like I've got a comic I'm working on for already about a year or two and a half. But it's really like I do my daily drawings. I do work for work, and I do a lot of different things. And then when I find time, I also draw the comic, and because it's fun as well. And I want to see if I can do a comic. Yeah.
Yeah, because how do you manage to do all of this? As you mentioned, it's like, do you sleep?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's always a different project. Sort of, some days I do this, some days I work on this. It always depends on how I feel. And the comic is sometimes a bit nerve-wracking because I said I will do it and I have to do it, and it's like a chore at some point. But I'm going to finish it. I'm going to push it. And it's only 15 pages, but the style I chose is really a lot of work. And it's just work, but I just have to do the colors, and then when I'm done, I'll be happy. And then and there's so many projects you always want to do, because I mean, there's like, I wouldn't mind doing a Patreon. I wouldn't mind having a little sketchbooks for sale or something like that. I'm working on that, by the way.
That's good.
See, I'm working on that too. Yeah. But my main income is from one company, and I must admit that I'm a little bit scared of, because if it ever stops, then I have to freelance and everything, and then I will have to figure it out from the start how you do this. Then I will have to look for jobs and everything. So I hope it won't be too hard, but you never know.
Yeah, that's true. But then it's good that you have the balance, and you have the variety at work, and then you can still like choose projects to do.
Yes, and that's why I wouldn't mind if it stayed that way. But of course, maybe sort of it keeps you fresh in the head, because I mean, at some point in the same company, you probably as well get the same thing every. Change that much, so I wouldn't mind to know how it is somewhere to work for something else. So that's why.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
will come as it comes.
So you mentioned the sketchbook, and maybe what are the exciting projects which are coming up, which you can share, and maybe when people can see it, your fans, like.
Well, I think that then I had a like spoiler. I think the sketchbook is for me the most exciting, because of course, at work, there's the new game is coming out, I think, in October, which I worked on. I did the character designs. It's Pillars of the Earth. That's from the novel from Ken Follett. We're working on the game for that, and I'm really excited that that's coming out. But I think my personal projects are the ones I'm more excited about. And so I would say that it's the sketchbook, which when I'm finally done, I mean, I sort of layouted a lot of it. I have to do the cover and a couple of pages, and then I'll give it into print, and then I'll see how that goes. And I haven't got an Etsy store yet, so I'll have to do that, and maybe I'll do some prints as well. And all the artists have these, and I don't yet, so I'm like, ooh.
And are you planning to do Kickstarter for it?
Depending on the success, maybe. No, because I was like thinking small. I was going to say like I will maybe do like 300 and see how that goes, or maybe I'll ask on Instagram who would want one, and then I'll just sort of produce some, because I think I'll start small, and then maybe from the income of those, if I sell them, I'll do print and second versions, maybe something like that. That was my plan. A Kickstarter is always a lot of planning, a lot of work, and I don't think I could have the capacity for that at the moment, because with the kid it's too much.
Yeah, I believe. I mean, already with all of that what you do, so. And so when you are deciding for the new projects, what is your kind of thinking when you need to say no and yes to something?
Oh, that's so hard. And I just go with the gut feeling. With the comic I mentioned, it was something, it was offered to me, and I said, okay, it doesn't pay well. It doesn't have, but I like the topic. and I wanted to test myself on that thing. So when I do projects, it's usually I go through it. What will it help me? I mean, of course, if it's a lot of money, I say, "Wait, let's go and do that." if it's not horrible,
Yeah.
but I think I usually go with my passion. I usually, if it's something interesting, then usually my husband always says, "Why do you do it? You've got so much to do already, and why do you take another project?" And I said, "I don't know, it sounded cool." So I'm not very good at that time management thing actually, but I'm also very if I say I do something, I'll do it no matter what. So that's why then it's just me who's crying at the end that I took too much work, but I get the work done. Yeah. In general.
That's true. And also with this planning maybe, or did you ever have this kind of like a worst career moment or some like difficult time and something maybe you learned from that?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I would, that's at my company. We had a project which was terminated. And that was like a kick in the stomach because we were working. Oh, it was actually the project wasn't cancelled completely. It was just put on hold, and it's still on hold at the moment. It was a cool project. It was a really cool project, but the problem was there were too many question marks. And in a project in a game, usually we had one question mark. It's like let me explain, because you always, before you start a project, you always say, okay, what can we calculate? And there's always some question marks which aren't, which you don't know yet, which you're figuring out on the way, because yes, a project with all given it would be cool, but no, it's always something where it's mostly technical, and we had so many question marks, but we said, oh, we'll figure it out on the way. And it turned out figuring it out on the way just took a long time, and it took far longer than it could. Then the money was there. There was money to produce this project. And yes, and I learned that there is just a limited amount of question marks you should have before starting a project. I mean, one or two, okay, but it should be more than half safe, which you know what you're doing. Yes, because it's when you start a game. I mean, I think that's a mistake what a lot of newcomers do. They say, "Oh, we'll just start," and they get caught up in all these problems that you just never get done. Because, and especially in games, that's one of the main problems. So it helps to have experienced people who know what they're doing, and you can have one or two newbies in between, or sort of, but you always have to sort of work, sort of having a net to catch the question marks. I mean, it sounds theoretical, but it really, I think it's the gist is that I know for myself, I have to have a lot of clear things before I start a project of that magnitude as well, because games are big projects.
Yeah, complex.
Yes, very complex.
But it's really good to know as well, just like whoever is planning their kind of small project or bigger project at the time, and then like think about, okay, there shouldn't be everything to figure out on the way, but some planning.
Yes. We did plan, of course, but it was also like, okay, this isn't something we can do at the moment. We'll do it then. And it was you always push it a little bit further. Oh, okay, we can figure it out till then. And at some point we still, okay, we still haven't got anything figured out from these points. And yeah.
And thinking about maybe learning from like projects and also like books, do you have something which you would recommend people to check out, or documentaries or movies?
A couple of books which when people, I'm often asked by others, what are your books which you recommend to artists? And I got some Bibles to me which I really love. There's like the Color and Light by I haven't his name. Color and Light by the one with the dinosaurs.
Yeah, I know which one. We can put the link to the show notes. I
Okay. Color and light. Then the skillful huntsman. That's also, it's a good book on concept art. But I'm not the greatest concept artist, but I think for me that is like the best sort of take a project and go at all the details and how you would how you would tackle a project. So I like that one very much. And I've got the Framed Ink. Framed Ink is also another very good book, which is very good on composition and light and shadow and and storytelling as well through light and shadow, sort of how you frame something. And those are sort of, for me, the best books. Yeah. And Drawn to Life.
Yes, yeah. Both volumes.
Both volumes. I always have them next to my table and sort of just read it. You don't have to read them through. You just sort of go through it and I want to read this chapter. Let me have, and you sort of feel that you upgrade your knowledge each time you sort of find something small. It's pure gold.
Yeah, I think it's really good. Yeah. And if you think about like maybe something you bought which simplifies your life, it doesn't have to be, art related, but maybe also young moms with kids, they want to draw something which helps you.
Well, to be honest, what helps me most at the moment is that I can order food at the grocery store, which they bring us water and everything. And it's like, for me, oh my God, you can get anything through the internet and buy food and everything. So I don't have to carry the bags home every day. So, and that's what helps.
So is it like
my life at the moment?
Is it like a local food store, or is it something which is more available to whole Europe, or I don't know?
Well, it's in Germany. It's just Rewe has an online service where you can sort of buy everything, and it's not even it's not even expensive to have it ordered at home. So it's like, why go to the shop at all? I mean, it's good to have exercise as well, but carrying the heavy water bottles.
That's not the best.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I don't have anything better, but that's sort of what. Yes, just being able to order so many things, I think it's really helpful.
No, but this is, I think, really cool because like in US, everyone is used to this like all the time, and I think in Europe, maybe we are not so used to it, just to order everything. Yeah. So
I'm totally not used to it, and it's a revelation.
Yes, it's like a magical place.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. I have to do that as well, but yeah, I still haven't got to it here because it's so expensive.
Yeah, it's not that expensive here. And I also have a box where you get fruit, which is bio, which is because I've got, for the kid, I don't want to give him with pesticides and whatever. So I'm also happy I have that box. So yeah that's cool.
Oh, perfect. And the last questions I want to ask you is about the future. And if you would imagine yourself in 5 to 10 years, you have a small kid running around already by himself. And so what is your dream scenario? Like if you cannot fail and you are not afraid of anything. So like, what are you doing?
I talked about this with my husband a couple of days ago, funny enough. He's saying like, it's a bit creepy, like a commune where you just sort of have the coolest people around, all living like in really like a village of your own people, but where there's everybody and you're working together on stuff, or basically just having this place where everybody can come and do art, and in a maybe not a so esoteric place. I wouldn't mind having just a cool studio of people I trust, which I've been working together with, and do an amazing project. Because I mean, even in my company where I'm now, I do cool projects, but of course there's always money and everything and to take in consideration. But if it's probably more of the thing is, if there was enough money, you just sort of work on cool stuff because I mean, we just need the start money, because then the cool stuff would generate money, and then everything would be cool. So, but yeah, probably games, but games which aren't adventures. I probably would want to work on an RPG for once. I really like RPGs and do the animation for that and sort of, and build this with a cool team. And maybe it doesn't, and if it's not a game, just have sort of a studio where we all sort of do work on our own projects, and that's sort of, because I think always as a freelancer, it's a bit, you're alone with your art, and then at least sort of have a place where all these artists, and then if one has a job which he can't work on, say here. I mean, we do that anyway. I've got a lot of people which are artists around, and I often get things which I can't take, so I give it to the other artists. I mean, with a full-time job, I just can't take a lot of jobs, and so it will work out if I don't go, if I'm not biodelic anymore. I will get people who okay, drifting off here, sorry.
No, because you can also have like, remote positions, or like in the future you can create this studio and you can have this space maybe so in Hamburg, and there are a lot of creatives, and yes, that's a really nice dream. I would love that, because that would be, I would be happy around them. And then the kid can run around, have this creative energy, take it all in. Maybe he'll want to do it as well. Maybe he'll just hate it. I don't know. So he can learn to draw as well, and
Yeah.
Super cool. And I mean, I would come to visit you for sure if that's happening, and sounds
come
awesome.
to us. Creative people, come to us. We'll be the next Walt Disney or next Blizzard.
Good. That's a good plan. I like it. And and the last question I would like to ask you is like, what would you like to be remembered for in like 100 years?
I think for a warmth in my drawings. I think I would like people to say, I think she had always life in the drawings, and some warmth, something which transports, because I don't go in an angsty direction or anything. I always try. I think maybe I'm a little one-sided in this. It's usually something good which I draw, and I would like to people remember just that it's always a warm feeling you get when you look at my things, and I would like that.
That's perfect. So thank you so much for being here. It's awesome and so much fun. And if you have like final advice for young artists before we say goodbye.
Draw a lot. I mean, I think often people say, how you do this, and I think I can't stress how important it is to draw every day and to draw a lot, because you also wanted a quote from me, and I picked one, which was, you have 1,000 bad drawings in you. Wait a minute, it was, every artist had thousands of bad drawings in them. The only way to get rid of them is to draw them out. And that's one of my favorite, and I had this quote in my head from time to time. It just sort of pops up, and it says, these are my drawings. They just, you have to get rid of them. And yes, and you get a feeling that the more you draw, the easier it becomes, and you get a flow. And once you've got this flow while drawing, then that's where the happiness starts. And it's like, yes, that's what I live for. When you you lose the flow, but you get it back.
Yeah.
But I live for the flow.
It's perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
So perfect.
So,
yes.
Draw a lot.
Good. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we can put it like in big letters on the wall or something. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's work. It's hard work. Being an artist is hard. Yeah. It's a lot of hard work, and you won't get there without a sweat and tears.
Oh.
That's it's the hard facts.
That's true. I totally agree.
It's not butterflies. I hate it when people say, you draw so good. I wish I could draw that good. Because it's all it takes is the spark. It's the spark of talent, and then it's hard work.
Yeah.
And if you'll get there, and you just have to yes.
You just have to do it. Basically. Yeah. Oh, No, thank you so much for being here, and thanks everyone for joining today.
Thank you too.
So it was perfect, and see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let me know in comments. Also, please subscribe to my channel for more videos because I post new interview every single workday. You can also find the resources mentioned in this episode at artsideoflife.com. Just type a guest name in the search bar. There is also a little freebie waiting for you, so go check it out. If you want to listen to the interviews on the go, make sure to check out the podcast episodes at artsideoflife.com/podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you, and don't forget to inspire each other. I will see you guys in the next episode.